To William Turner, who is with us on Tuesday afternoons 1 to 3, Free Speech in the 21st Century.
Last Saturday, my wife and I took Bart to San Francisco, and at the MacArthur station, a couple of women got on the train and sat down in one of these little foursomes with us, and they were wearing red baseball caps festooned with pins of radical slogans, Free Mumia and so on. These were true believers in free speech. And the woman sitting next to me reached in her purse and pulled out the Constitution of the United States. the kind that the ACLU sends you when you make a modest contribution. And she starts to read, it's not the New Testament she pulls out, it's the Constitution, and starts reading it right then and there. And I couldn't resist saying to her, do your homework, we're going to have a quiz. And she said, what's the quiz about? And I said, well, how is are your rights under the Third Amendment being adequately protected these days? And she said, what's the Third Amendment? Much overlooked amendment. She looked it up. We had a little discussion about that. And my wife interrupted, as she sometimes does, and says to the woman, ask him about the First Amendment. He's an expert on the First Amendment. And so she looks at me and said, what do I need to know about the First Amendment? And I said, well, how much time do you have? Where are you getting off? And she said, Embarcadero. I said, well, let's talk quickly then. The two things you really have to know is that what the First Amendment means is what the Supreme Court of the United States says it means, and more precisely, what 5 members of the current court say it means. And second, that only the government can violate the First Amendment. If Twitter cuts off your account because you've said something unpleasant about the CEO of Twitter, that infringes your free speech, but it does not violate the First Amendment because our Constitution binds government and government alone. Whereupon she got off the train at the Embarcadero, thanked me profusely. And if you would like to know more about the freedom of speech in the 21st century, I can recommend this fall's course. You might wonder what James Madison, the principal author of the First Amendment, would think about Twitter and whether typing 140 characters on a computer constitutes speech subject to the First Amendment, or whether he'd agree that violent video games are within the freedom of speech protected by the First Amendment. Does it matter in the 21st century what the framers of the Constitution might think? Does what it means, the First Amendment, depend on what the framers' understanding of it was? The free speech issues of the 21st century and the new technologies might have baffled the framers, but they won't baffle us. In this course, we'll look at how the Supreme Court has dealt with the major free speech issues in this century. The issues include not just Citizens United on campaign finance and the internet-related cases, but several fascinating cases dealing with crush videos. I'm sure you're all familiar with crush videos, picketing military funerals, terrorist speech, lying about receiving the Congressional Medal of Honor, Edward Snowden's leaks, and the FCC regulation of indecency on the airwaves, regulating dirty words and glimpses of nudity and so on. If you take this course by Thanksgiving, you'll be able to wow the people around your family table with your insights into what free speech means today. That's Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
Thank you, Bill.